Okay, good evening everyone. Thank you very much for coming over. I would like to add my gratitude to SCI-Arc for hosting this great community event. It's really great to be here. I also like to thank Bread Lounge for having breads out there. I hope nobody will eat too much bread so I can take home. But that's the best bread in LA, so please do not eat anything. So my wife and my kids can enjoy the bread. I would like to begin by making a statement of thank you to everyone, both to ADLA and to our board and all of you who came here. This is not a fight between right or wrong, evil and good people. This is a fight between two groups that care dearly about the neighborhood. As you've just seen, members of both communities are either residents or business owners here, and each one of us care, and I think it came across very clearly, deeply about the future of this neighborhood and as it will be. And we're here because we care, not because anybody is standing to make any money or there is any insincere income or gratitude that will come with it. So I would like to thank ADLA for your very hard work, for what you think is the right thing to do, and I would like to thank our organization for the hard work that everybody is putting in, and for all of you for coming here. Just a little bit about myself. I'm not your typical developer resident here. I'm more of an academic. I'm actually an archaeologist. I feel much more comfortable talking with dead people than with living people. I have a lot of problems and issues with talking with living people. Living people tend to have opinions, and I don't like opinions. I've been at UCLA, and then I've been at USC, so I cross lines, and sort of, as you can hear from my accent, I came from the Middle East, so conflict is not strange to me, and I always try to make sure that I will never be on the shooting line. So I'm very careful about what I'm doing. My non-profit experience began when I, together with a number of families, were the founding members of Ocean Charter School. We created a charter school based on Waldorf philosophy. It's right now on the west side, and one of my missions in life is to spread the ideology and the idea of charter movement, and especially schools that are based on Waldorf philosophy, to communities across the country. But really, in my professional life, I'm currently the director of the Institute for Field Research. Our offices are right here. I own property here in the district, and our offices are right here at the Toy Factory district. We do our annual meeting here, right here in the district. We bring about 14, some of the most important archaeologists in the world. And Laura, by the way, Louis Winford is probably the most important dead archaeologist I know. So you should never forget the name of your building. But we are bringing people here every year, and it's really, really fun to bring people to this neighborhood and to show it how great of a neighborhood this place is. I would like to take a position that we are not to follow the leadership that we're getting from Washington, D.C. about the way discourse should happen in this community or in this country. I just read in the Wall Street Journal, one of the guys who lead the conservative effort to maintain the government closure. His name is Michael Needham, and he's the head of the Heritage Action, which is the lobbying group of Heritage Foundation. And he said, and I quote from the Wall Street Journal from yesterday, is that in the war of ideas, there are no pacifists. I disagree. If the war of ideas, there are no pacifists, then primates with guns can fight as well as humans with guns. I think that people are much more nuanced, much more complex, and we should listen and hear and allow ourselves to be convinced and have an open mind and open heart to hear what is going to be said today, so we can make the right decision for ourselves. So I would like to stay away from confrontational politics and talk mostly about the facts and about our ideas in the understanding that the other side of ideas may be not as bad or maybe as good as ours, and we all can learn from each other. There's no question the times are changing in our neighborhood. In 2007, there were 140 live-work spaces here. Today, there are about 680. In the next few years, there are hundreds more that are coming. In 2007, there were 4 restaurants in the district. Today, there are 12, and more are coming through. We're going to go over a little bit over data. So there are 2 possible scenarios that are being presented to you today, a p-vid and an alpha-vid. This is a summary of what each one of them is trying to suggest. In the p-vid, there's a 50% petition threshold, and in the alpha-vid, there's 30% petition threshold. On the other hand, in order to disband a bid, on the P bid you need 50% of the vote, and on the alpha bid you need 30% of the vote. There's a lot of discussion on a lot of the websites, a lot of the Facebook, about what is safe. We are moving, when we're talking about safety, between two extremes. The first extreme is men with gun, right? Fear is what drives all of them. On the other extreme is the kumbaya position, where everybody are hugging and we live happily ever after. Those of you who are fortunate enough to have the paper that George wrote about the Los Angeles encampment that took place a few years ago know that the kumbaya position is not always the best solution. What is safe then to this neighborhood? I don't believe in fear, but I believe that there is a balance in between these forces. Safe is when we have officers available 24/7. Safe is when you have the headquarters of the officers and those who patrol the neighborhood inside the neighborhood and not outside. Safe is when you keep everything clean and when the cleaning crew is actually reporting about events that they see, because none of the officers that we're going to employ, nor I would assume the officers that ADLA is going to employ, is going to carry a gun and be able to make arrests. All that they can do is to report to LAPD. So clean and people on the street is what makes us safe. Green is part of medium safe. The greener it is, the more people on the street, the more people on the street, the safer it is for all of us to live. And in addition, we are going to deploy real-time ArcGIS. I read on the ADLA website that they're going to use data capture software. Data capture software is typically for website analysis of trends on websites, and it's data-driven, it's not geographically driven. There are vast differences. I'm not going to go too much into the details. I deal with that every day with my life because archaeology is a spatial science, so I can answer about the differences later on in the Q&A. These are the two district maps. I'm sorry I did not have the data to put it on the GIS, so it looks like our district that we suggest is a little bit bigger. In fact, it is smaller, and I'm going to talk about it in a second. There are a lot of data that have been presented in the aggregate. I would like to go a little bit into the details because the devil is always in the details. It is absolutely true that ADCCLA budget is a lot smaller than the budget at ADLA. That's correct, but when you think about linear feet, and linear feet is the area in front of the building that actually has to be patrolled and actually has to be cleaned, our allocation is 3.2% higher than the allocation proposed by ADLA, and 11.5% of the allocation that was previously allocated in this neighborhood under the old one. If you look at this chart, this is a chart that I actually tried to copy from ADLA website, so thank you very much for putting it in such a nice and beautiful way for everybody to understand. I'm just putting the data, the aggregate data as presented by ADLA from their website, from their bylaws, all in things that I would like to highlight. First of all, the budgets are vastly different. As you can see, the absolute numbers are vastly different. Only the difference is that 80% of our budget goes to clean and safe, only 74% of their budget goes to clean and safe. Our district is much smaller, by 36%. The district that ADLA is suggesting, there's 58 blocks. So if you look at the expenses, not only per linear feet, but if you look at the expenses per block that needs to be clean, patrol, safe, our allocation is still 3.2% higher than their allocation. When we talked about management and administration allocation, we are very cognizant that the money that will be collected will be taxpayers' money. That means that we have to be vigilant about not spending it. And we have to be vigilant about spending it. When we do spend it, spending it effectively and not charging too much. Our budget, our total budget for management and administration is $111,000. Their budget, even though their district is only 36% higher, their budget is 93% higher than our budget. I don't know why they need more money for management. This is definitely something that I would like to ask ADLA, where all this money goes to. We suggest an annual tax increase of 3%. They suggest an annual tax increase of 5%. Our board starts with a lot fewer people because we started at 6 people and we are growing. We suggest in our bylaws that our board should grow to 40 people to represent many elements of the community. ADLA suggests a minimum of 15 people, although they outline only 9 individuals on their bylaws and on the comparison table that they have on their website, and maximum of 25 people. Who sits on the board? the ADLA, it's only property owners. It goes by who own property. If you don't own property, you don't have a seat on the ADLA board. On our board, anybody can sit on our board, anybody who contributes, anybody who is a member of the community. We do not have a property right, a property ownership definition in our bylaws. Very interestingly is that who gets to see the books, how the money is being spent. In our bylaws, anybody who cares to see our books gets to see the books. In the ADLA bylaws, only members can see the books, and members are defined legally in their bylaws, only people that sit on the board. So only members of the board can actually see the books, by the way that the bylaws have been written for ADLA. Let's look at what is really important to all of us as taxpayers, is that not what the tax is right now, but what the tax will be in 10 years, because we suggest as an alphabet a tax position that will be a bid that will be 10 years long. So I just randomly chose the numbers that have been posted on the ADLA website. It's the first building, the first loft owner on that particular building. It happened to be 940 East 2nd Street, unit number 1. They suggest, according to ADLA, the assessment will be $300.54 in year 1. Our assessment is $300.80. But because of the growth of taxes, 5% on their end, 3% on our end, within 10 years there's going to be a 19% difference between the two rates of taxes that particular individual or that particular owner is going to own to the city, to the bid, and through taxation. What is our board structure? Our board consists of 40 members, a maximum of 40 members that are divided into 3 basic organs that are committees on the board or advising to the board. Our advisory board consists of members of the homeowner association of all the community, commercial property owners, and industrial property owners. We have a land use committee because we think that the neighborhood is changing, and we would like to have a voice at the city, at the table, about what is the zoning going to be, how is it going to impact property values, how is it going to be quality of life for all of us. We also have a greening community because we believe that beautification of the neighborhood will dramatically increase both value and quality of life issue. There are 2 ways to gain political power in this city. One is with money, the other one is with votes. Our board is combining both. We have people that have property, and we do have people that have a voice. So the voting rights and the property rights in our board are coming together. We have a vision for the future. We are talking about creating an attractive environment. We're talking about improving quality of life. We're talking about sustainable growth, community interaction, design values, and we really, really appreciate the entrepreneurial spirit of the many different businesses here in the community. A lot of things are coming to this neighborhood that are going to change us. $500 million is going to invest in the 6th Street Bridge. This is what's going to happen. The city is investing tons of money in creating a park with no maintenance allocation. Who is going to manage that? We think that we should have a voice in that. We are really concerned about greening this neighborhood. There are micro parks, there are many ideas. We are very much interested in doing that. We think that a lot of people here are leaving the neighborhood because when they start to propagate, that is, in my language, when they start to have kids and become to be families, there are no good schools here. We think that schools will be a great anchor for safety, clean, and quality of life. So how do we create values for this neighborhood? This is not a mathematical formula. This is not a static, abstract way. It's done through community, it's done through people who care, it's done through the involvement of voters and property owners, and it is done in a way that it will create a lasting value, not a value of buying something today and selling something tomorrow. Thank you very much.